Hi, it's Margaret from Let's Learn to Sew, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to pin your fabric. Now you'll see people pin their fabric in a variety of ways. The way I like to pin it will enable you to not worry about running over pins or having to stop as you go. Now commonly you'll see people pin off to the side, or they'll pin going down the seam. The problem with either of these options is that when you go to sew, you have to stop as you come to a pin and pull it out. In sewing, every time you stop and start the machine, you run the risk of your seam allowance getting off just a bit, and it also can distort your stitches when you're constantly stopping and going. Now in my classes, the way I teach people to pin is to pin a little bit opposite of what you normally think. You've got your 5/8 seam allowance. That means your stitch line is going to be back in this area. So what I'm going to do is pin back out of the way of the seam allowance. I'm going to have the tip of my pin pointing towards the seam line. And remember, you don't need a lot of pins. It's just to keep the fabric lined up. Now as you can see, all of the pin tips are going to be back out of the way. Now let's take this to the machine and see how it works. All right, I've got my fabric lined up, my 5/8 seam allowance. Go ahead and start stitching. And as you can see, as I come to the pins, I'm not getting near the tip. Now let's just say, for instance, that one was in there just a little bit. The reason that I pin them this way is so that I can slightly move it back with my finger without coming to a stop. Go all the way to the end. Now you go back, you remove the pins, and you're ready to go to the ironing board and press this, or whatever the next step in your project is.